All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We have a little smaller group than usual this morning, but we will also record this and put it on YouTube. Well, thank you so much for joining. We love to do these every month with our approved talent group. And we actually added quite a few less people this month. And so I think this is almost sort of an orientation a lot of times. So that's probably one of the reasons there's less people here. But anyway, today, so I'm Adam, by the way, founder and CEO of the Braintrust Project. So what we'll cover today are, we're going to do some quick intros, myself and Shirley and Mark. And then we're going to talk quickly about the vision for Braintrust. We're going to talk about the COVID-19 pandemic and how that's affecting the network. I think there's plenty to discuss there. We'll give a quick update about the network, how it's grown. We'll talk about the product roadmap, and then talk about timelines and milestones for us, as we are still in private beta here, but do have a plan to emerge publicly. And then we'll do Q&A at the end. So I have a few questions that have been submitted before the call. If you guys have any that you'd like answered that you think of during the call, just use this little Q&A button at the bottom of Zoom and we will get to them afterwards. All right, well, first of all, we'll do quick intros. So my name's Adam. I started working on Braintrust about 2 years ago. It's sort of a passion project of mine, and we'll get into sort of what all that means in a few minutes. And I'm based in the San Francisco Bay Area and help kind of run our platform operations, help with sales, that sort of thing. And then I'll pass it over to Shirley, who's in Chicago.
Hi, everyone. Greetings from Chicago. I joined Braintrust almost 2 months now. That was so fast. I am running community programs here. I've spoken with some of you over Slack. I see some familiar names. Kyle, hello. Sameep, David, always nice to see you. We are, standing up a lot of community programs, including workshops. So if you're interested in speaking or writing for us to the talent community, as well as beyond, our clients are seeing our materials as well, please let me know. And also we have some volunteer opportunities with COVID, so we could get into that a little later.
Hey everyone, I'm Mark Williams, our VP of Operations. I'm based out of Seattle, where I've worked in technology and management consulting for the last 20 years. My job is just to make sure everything runs as smoothly as possible here. So hit me up on Slack if you have any ideas or any problems, any questions. I'm here for you anytime. Thanks for taking the time with us today.
All right, thanks Shirley and Mark. So let me shift gears a little bit here and do kind of rehash around the vision of Braintrust. So we're aiming to be the world's first user-owned and user-controlled talent platform. Our core belief here is that user-owned networks and companies will grow faster and be more valuable than investor-owned networks and companies. And we think this model can work on any category, and we just chose to start with tech, with specifically high-end, very experienced designers, developers, product managers, project managers. So if you're on this call, you would fit that description. And we're building this network because we fundamentally believe people should be able to work on cool projects, earn 100% of their hourly rate without paying hefty marketplace fees, have the flexibility to work from anywhere, although today that probably just means you're home, whether you want to be there or not. And then, importantly, have a say in how the network grows and what the rules of the network are and which categories we get into and that kind of thing. And so our pitch to clients at Braintrust is really simple. This is not about getting cheap people offshore. This is not a race to the bottom on hourly rates. Places like Upwork and other marketplaces like that, it just gets ugly. It's this competition that races to zero. And our clients are using Braintrust in a couple different ways. They could either augment their staff, so add a few developers to a current project. We do that all the time. Or they could come in with just a concept and then we'll put a team together or access a small agency that's on the platform to actually, manage the product, design, develop, ship, host, everything end to end. So we do plenty of both. But the whole point of Braintrust is, it's as a freelancer or even as a small agency, it's no fun having to go out there and pitch clients and respond to RFPs all day and do marketing and all this stuff. You just want to do the work, right? You guys are talented product developers. And so Braintrust exists to build that brand, basically on the backs of our talent, but to get out there and get the word out and do the heavy lifting on the sales side for you. And we'll talk more about the sales effort here in the next section. But back to the mechanics of Braintrust. So, our economics are simple. We charge a 0% fee to the talent side and a flat 10% fee to the client. We call that the job success fee. And that helps us cover our costs and cover that sales team and help us grow. So there's a small core team. A couple of us are here in the Bay Area. Mark's in Seattle, Shirley's in Chicago. We have people spread around the country, spread around the world, actually. There's just about 10 of us. And our job is to build this software platform that enables our network to basically grow and govern itself at some point. Right now, we're still controlling it, but eventually it will be this kind of public peer-to-peer network. And then to set up a system to allow the network to reward those who build it. And that's where our token comes in. And so it's worth noting all the people who've contributed to Braintrust and who are building Braintrust, from the design to coding and QA and product management, project management, are actual freelancers or teams of freelancers all over the world. So we have one of our core development teams is called Hexocean in Poland. We have a team in Berkeley called Robot Koala, who are designers. There's Stas in New Zealand, Bryce in Texas, Aiden, who works on the token in South Africa, Kelly in Seattle, Edlin in Portugal, Chris and Magnus in the Netherlands, Justina and Justin in Chicago and Los Angeles, and the list goes on. And so that's just an example of how here we're kind of eating our own dog food here at Braintrust. And then finally, we have this token, and we haven't talked too much about this. It's still been under development, and the token is it's a cryptographic token. It will run on the Ethereum network. It's really what separates us from a normal agency. It's the incentive mechanism that allows us to reward users for building the network. So you can earn tokens by referring other users, by vetting new talent, by referring new clients. There'll eventually be even more uses for it. We're going to give away the majority of it to you guys, to the people who actually build the network. And so there's a whole other kind of deep dive I'll do once we get closer to launching the token publicly, although we just got it onto testnet, so I'll talk about that a little bit later. I was going to shift gears now over to talking about the COVID-19 pandemic and how that's affected us here at Braintrust. So this is obviously, a massive global healthcare tragedy, really scary times for everybody, especially economically. We're seeing the economy basically grind to a halt here. And so, we want to be really transparent about how that's affecting both our clients and our talent and our plans here at Braintrust. So first of all, our clients are feeling this like every other company. We serve mostly kind of Fortune 1000 US corporations who need, it's not about websites and logos right now. It's about, big mobile apps and SaaS applications and machine learning systems and data warehouses and pretty heavy projects. And so we think there will be kind of two sides to this coin. So we've already immediately seen a slowdown in new jobs posting. We've seen big companies like Nestle pause jobs because they kind of want to see how things shake out here, which is totally understandable. And then we're seeing a bit of a slowdown on the sales side, where it's harder right now for our sales team to break through and get the attention of folks that would normally be interested in posting jobs on Braintrust. On the other side, clients that we already have are actually talking about pretty dramatic expansions of using Braintrust. And the reason for this is, most of these companies are now on a full-time hiring freeze. Most of them, they're going to move things. They need to keep core projects going, and the Braintrust talent base is really well suited to work on core, really important things. So we're going to see some of those dollars, I think, move from what would have been done in-house into now being done on Braintrust. and so we're actually seeing that expansion right now. We expect we'll grow through this pandemic. The other thing that's sort of a silver lining on this is one of the big pushbacks our sales team used to get was, we really need, butts in seats. We don't believe in remote work. Well, something tells me they're starting to believe in it now, because literally everyone in the world has been forced to figure out how remote works. And so our team here, we've got some really talented folks on the marketing team who just joined, and we're kind of thrown into this. We're trying to, make the best of this and really be valuable, be helpful where we can, right? So one of our unique advantages here, and I'm talking about the core team, but I'm also talking about you guys in the talent group on this call and who will listen to this later. We all know how to do this well. I would call us experts on getting remote work done cost effectively, time efficiently, and just shipping, I think, better in many cases than you could all sitting in an office. So that's one of our superpowers. Gabe, my co-founder, and others on our team have been hosting webinars. Shirley did one on the talent side the other day on how to be a more effective freelancer. We're doing corporate briefings. This is Gabe and the sales team are actually teaching corporations how to make this transition more smoothly. We're hosting one next week with a very large German car manufacturer that it is being thrown into this. It needs our help. So there is some silver lining here, but we're going to as we it's important when you build a two-sided marketplace to sort of have demand and supply sort of match each other, and you don't want one to outstrip the other too much. And so right now, we always built the network having a bit more supply or more talent than we have jobs for them, just because to keep things flexible, right? Talent might get pulled away onto another job or something. And so we're kind of going to pause approving new talent for now, other than in special cases where we can't catch up. So, I want to recognize that a lot of you guys have made referrals to other talent in your network. And we have a backlog there that we're kind of slowly working through. But what we don't want to happen is have our approved talent, you guys who are already here, not stand a chance in some crazy bidding war, on new jobs. It's just a bad experience for you. It's not a great experience for our clients either. And so we're going to kind of put a moratorium on bringing new talent in, other than special cases. So that's where we are. We are still adding new clients. In the next 30 days, we expect to add a very large car company, a big oil company, a very large US bank. Those are all in the onboarding process right now, as well as NASA, the US Space Agency, which is one of Mark's pet projects. And so look, it's a mixed bag here. There's, we're going to come out of this the other side, I think, stronger and leaner. But I want to be really honest and transparent with you guys about some of the challenges this is posing. And so Shirley already gave her little background. We just announced the news a few weeks ago that she actually kind of joined, her company joined Muses through an acquisition. Shirley, do you want to maybe just take a minute and give a little explanation on that, a little 30 seconds? Thanks.
Happy to. So maybe I can speak to more our community. So Muses, I started 2.5 years ago, really to help freelancers and online workers find jobs, and also help entrepreneurs and small business owners find freelancers to help them. And so we built up to about 45,000 users in all professions, from creative to technology. And currently, Muses users are on the wait list. So not many of them are being approved yet. Just like Adam said, we want to balance supply and demand, and we want to respect those folks who are already been approved on the Braintrust network. So in the meantime, I am building value programs, including educational programs, opportunities to connect and support one another in community. And so what I'd like to do is position the currently approved talent as obviously the networks, people who have more experience, who can help our waitlist talents upskill in certain domain expertise as well as in soft skills. You know, how to pitch, how to refine your Braintrust profile, negotiation tactics, things like that. So like previously mentioned, I'm going to be looking for speakers, writers. We're also opening up our Slack community to Braintrust waitlist talents because we have thousands of them waiting to really get in and just learn from you guys. So I'm going to be setting up, and with Mark's help, setting up some more channels in Slack, and would love to, you know, get your feedback on how to get people more engaged and then what's the best communication channel going forward. But lots of exciting programs that we get to run right now while, you know, demand is still coming in. We are building a really engaged and excited community. I think one of the things that I surveyed my freelance community is, what are your pain points, right? Aside from getting jobs, it's finding support, because working behind a computer at your home all day sometimes can feel really lonely. So you want to have a base of people who can understand you and support you along the way. And that's my goal.
Awesome. Thanks, Shirley. Well, it's so great to have you here. I can't believe it's only been 2 months. A lot happens here in a week. But Shirley's community at Muses are this amazing group, tens of thousands of incredible freelancers, sort of adjacent categories to Braintrust. So we're working on big, heavy software. They're working on sometimes more creative things. So graphic design and social media marketing and other interesting categories like that, that are, you know, big and important and will be interesting to our core clients at Braintrust, which is one of the reasons we wanted to combine forces. So we aren't expanding into those categories with Braintrust just yet, but we certainly will be later this year. And I'll get into that later on timelines. Now I want to kick it over to Mark to talk about our roadmap and all the amazing progress we made on the platform.
Thanks, Adam. All right. First of all, for our US-based people, I want to say thank you so much for those of you who have already taken the survey we sent out yesterday. We're working with Blue Cross Blue Shield on trying to get some more information on how we can help the US-based freelance market with benefits packages, and we've already seen almost 60 people complete that and get back to them. So it's hugely valuable to them, and it really made us look good and show our access to great talent and our value of helping projects run successfully. So thank you for that. And next up, a thank you to all of those of you who have filled out your complete talent profile. We always start these product roadmap sessions with a brief ask to please fill those out and complete them. And there's two main reasons. One, our talent profile redesign is almost ready. So you won't have to do anything to migrate these over. It'll all be done on the back end, but we have a very beautiful looking profile we've worked very hard on after a lot of user research in determining what clients want to see up front as they're cycling through your proposals to work on their projects. And so this has been a lengthy effort. I see Daniel on the call. Thank you, man. We will be looking at this very hard this week, and this is launching soon. So when that launches, it's going to be even more important that your profiles are filled out and complete. So thank you for taking a couple of minutes and making sure you have all of your skills and work experience and any portfolio items or social links to your GitHub, any other things that can just make those look as good as possible. We sincerely appreciate it. Next up, also in QA this week and the coming week, multiple contacts for employer accounts. So just like your talent account, employers have accounts where they post jobs. And one of the main things we're asked about is if they can share that account with someone else in their company for either reviewing your proposals, have a look at your profiles, and paying invoices. So this has been kind of a difficult bit of work to get this all going and work seamlessly on the back end. And we're almost there. So maybe not as exciting to everyone on this call, but the idea is that it makes everything run smoothly and you get paid faster. That's the main goal with this work. Also, in QA this week is attaching files to invoices. So we've had a couple of projects, you may be on those, that have asked to submit hours as you go through the project and include those with an invoice. And so we can also use this for any type of artifact delivery if you have things you want to send to the client. So early days on this one, but a semi-exciting piece of work that'll hopefully save a couple steps in the process and just reduce the email traffic back and forth, particularly on some of our larger projects where we have quite a few people all trying to get one person to approve hours for an invoice. So we think this is going to make it a lot easier. And live, we launched last week or a couple weeks ago, improved messaging on the platform. You know, when after you have submitted a proposal and the client wants to talk to you, it was kicking off emails back and forth, kind of rudimentary. And so we've made this a lot better, a little bit similar to LinkedIn, where everything is in the context of what you're doing and you can see those messages back and forth a lot easier on platform. One of the couple of the most exciting things coming up, and I see that Adam just stole one from me. He gets to talk about the token because it's his pet project.
Oh, you go for it, Mark. You take it.
First up is the Braintrust Network Expert. We've talked about this a little bit before. This is just one of the ways that you can help us build a stronger network and help us just identify the best people, and a way for you to kind of get certified on Braintrust as one of our network experts. So when you're proposing yourself for work, you will pop up and stand out on some of those jobs. So a lot more to come on this. And then I will hand it over to talk about the token with Adam. But I just want to say this is extremely exciting times. It's one of the main reasons I joined here. I've only worked at 3 other consulting companies over these 20 years. I'm kind of a long haul guy, get in and rock it till the wheels fall off. And that what normally happens is you get to a situation where you've worked at a company long enough and you've kind of maxed out and you have as much influence as is available there. This token is going to enable everyone to have that influence. And so it's a really exciting piece of our business, and I know everyone is going to enjoy learning more about this. So, Adam.
Awesome. Thanks for that great update, Mark. It's really so gratifying to look at this long list of things that we've shipped or are about to ship over the last month, and I have to give a big shout out to Hexocean for being our core dev team out in Poland. They are phenomenal guys to work with, really talented people. And have really towed the line on this. On the token side, so as Mark mentioned, so this token, a lot of you may not be super familiar with tokens, and you still won't be after this call. So don't worry. We're gonna do another webinar deep dive when we're much closer to public launch of this token. But it's basically it's the sole ownership and control instrument for our network. We don't have a company here in the U.S. We're not for this purpose, at least. When we contract with big Fortune 1000s, we have a separate company there to help handle insurance and payments and that kind of thing. But the Braintrust network is owned by its users, and when I say our tokens are an ownership instrument, I don't mean like it's a profit sharing system or a dividend return mechanism. It's not like that, because Braintrust itself is actually a nonprofit. We exist here to build a great brand, showcase our amazing talent, and bring great clients to the platform, right? And so the sole way of influencing and governing this network will be through our token. And the only way to get our token is by helping us build it, which literally thousands of you have already done. I mean, there's only a few hundred approved talent, but many more have even made referrals and that sort of thing without even being approved members. So anyway, again, we'll do a really deep dive later about how the token works and what it'll all be used for. But it is on, we did finally get it live on the Ethereum Robstand Network. I have a big thanks to Aiden and Vince, who are 2 of our incredible freelancers, both really experienced blockchain developers that have been building this and setting up the infrastructure. Hats off to them for working on this and getting it to this point. I put a call out on our Slack channel the other day for help on QAing, both finding bugs and testing the UX. And I got almost 20 people responded to that. And all of you guys will be getting tokens for helping there. We're probably maybe a week or 2 away from starting that program. So stay tuned for that. Big thanks. It was really gratifying to see how many people responded. And also, I thought you might find it interesting. So we asked a question at the end of that QA request form saying, what's your familiarity with tokens? And you kind of had, I think it was like 4 choices. Like, I'm an expert, I'm a token developer. I've heard of tokens, but I've never owned them. I have owned tokens, or I have never heard of a token. And so 0% have never heard of one. Only something like 10 or 12% have actually owned one. The majority have heard of them, and I think 1 or 2 people were a developer. And so it's interesting. So almost 3/4 have heard of them but never owned one. And this is like a pretty elite talent group we've got here. And so it was a good reminder that like this is very nascent technology. And one of the things I'm so excited about with Braintrust is we're actually going to be one of the groups, one of the networks that brings this concept of tokens to mainstream. Not that Braintrust developers and designers are necessarily part of the general public mainstream when it comes to this. So you guys are usually on the bleeding edge of things, but that's one of the cool things here is that we're making a useful token economy, and one that the point of this token is to be able to cut out that middleman that's taking these huge rakes, whether it's an Upwork, a TopTal, or some big agency that marks everybody up. And that's the whole point of this token. And so that's a good segue into our timeline. And so, look, what is this, April 1st almost? We were supposed to have had emerged from stealth and had a bunch of big stories written about us. And we were going to be talking about our new network on television and profiling our great new talent. And we've got Corey Johnson, who you've probably seen on Bloomberg over the years. He's helping us out. And with his amazing connections and his incredible storytelling ability. And we'd hired this fancy PR firm. And then we tried to pull the trigger about 2 weeks ago. And it was like trying to sail a ship into a Category 5 hurricane. We just couldn't break through. And so that was really disappointing, but it's not the end of the world. We are going to remain in stealth, involuntarily, albeit, but every month that goes by, our network grows, we get better talent, the profiles look better, the platform is sharper, we've got more clients, more jobs, more 5-star reviews, more transaction volume on the network. It keeps growing month over month. And we'll start publishing all that stuff publicly for you guys here pretty soon too. So another, I think this COVID thing puts us out at least a quarter. So it just basically takes our timeline and stretches it out, pushes it out at least 3 months, maybe 6 months. The good news is the project has enough runway. We're very low burn. We've been, everyone here has tightened their belts. Everyone's doing their part to, make this thing a success. And so, big thanks around the table for everybody kind of tightening up. And it could be 1 quarter, could be 3 quarters, who knows? But when the storm does blow over, we will restart our PR efforts. We know the story resonates. So we had pretty well-known journalists at Bloomberg and CNBC and others say, this is a great story. I mean, it's a noble mission. You guys are cutting out middlemen. You're giving the power and the control back to the talent. Like this marketplace model could work anywhere, right? And it's cool where you're starting. And they're like, look, we can only talk about, there's only one topic in the news cycle right now, and that's the COVID-19, which is completely understandable, right? This is just certainly, the world is focused on fixing this problem. So we'll be ready when we detect an ability to break into this news cycle. We'll be ready to go. That was sort of what I call kind of talking to mainstream media, but it's what I would call the air cover component of our PR. The other component was what we call the groundswell, where we actually have our talent and our clients and our investors and advisors talk about us on social media and their blogs and that kind of thing. This we started, and hats off to Shirley for getting this underway. Also, Brandon from our marketing team has been extraordinarily helpful here. The idea here is, don't take my word for it that we're great. Like, just look at these awesome people on our network. And so you guys, we've made a handful of asks already for you guys to promote your talent profile on LinkedIn and Twitter. In my last newsletter, I had a couple asks in there. Those things are small. They take a few minutes and they go a really long way. What basically they do is it shows the public, and in this case, it's journalists that we want to see this, and clients. Those are kind of our two target audience. It shows them just the pedigree, the amazing people that we have on Braintrust that can, do what we say we're doing here and building great projects and build this great brand. So this is underway. It will continue to be. We're actually going to hire a full-time person to help manage this. We have an open job rec for a social media manager right now. So if you know anybody, let us know. And then, until then, Shirley's kind of running this. So ping her if you have any ideas or questions or like a clever campaign concept or anything like that. A lot of our great ideas have come from you all. And so we'll aim for coming out of stealth. Who knows? It could be. It's probably gonna be this summer, and then a few months after that. Hopefully still in 2020. But there's no gun to our head here. It could be and it could be next year. We'll do the public network launch and the token launch, and then start expanding into other categories where we have all this depth with the Muses audience. So that's our timeline. Happy to answer any questions there. If you guys have any, pop them into the Q&A. And then Shirley, do you want to shift gears real quick? Just talk about some of the volunteer work we've been applying for.
Yeah, so this is a time for people to come together, right? And it's incredible to see so many communities and ours, Braintrust, in our Slack, people raising their hands. Thank you, Michael, for telling us about the New York State technology SWAT team, and Kyle and someone else who also contributed to the hackathon to let us know we can join teams. We've reached out to all of them to say, hey, we're ready and available, so I'll let you know when I hear back. A friend of mine is running Project N95. They're serving as a clearinghouse for getting PPE equipment to frontline workers. So they're very interested in working with us. I'm having a call with them today. I'll let you know what that looks like, but essentially that could be writing algorithms and apps for helping them, work at an optimal efficiency. So we're doing a lot of, timely partnerships that make sense for the community. If you have other sources, let me know. If you see something that you want to participate in and you think Braintrust can join as a team, I'm happy to facilitate.
Awesome. Thanks, Shirley. Yeah, we've got one of the things we've started Braintrust with when Gabe and I just kicked off, and it was just he and I working on this, is we're big fans of what Salesforce and a lot of other companies have done around dedicating 1% of their people's time, their revenue, or their profits and their equity to charitable causes. And so we have actually set aside 1% of our tokens for this in a fund dedicated to being able to help, charities that are kind of consistent with our mission of spreading, allowing talent from all over the world to access opportunity that's concentrated, in the US or Europe. And so once the token, is live and has value, that'll be something we can execute. We couldn't give 1% of our profits because we're a nonprofit, but we can give 1% of our users' time. And I think all of you saw this question as part of your onboarding is, would you be willing to donate, 1% of your efforts and skill to work on projects for charities and nonprofits? And like something like 89% of people check the box yes. I mean, it's just an extraordinary group of people we have here. Almost 400 now people on the approved talent list. And so, we've actually already done a project. There's a couple people have donated their time. We're looking for another one now that can be helpful with this COVID pandemic. So that's, again, thanks, Michael, for pointing that out. And so now I'll switch over to Q&A. So a couple questions I had submitted beforehand. So it's an interesting question. I apologize. I didn't write down the name of the person that asked me this. But they said, you know, client, like the premise was clients probably post their jobs or these projects to multiple places. How often do you think Braintrust is the winner? You know, how often do Braintrust talent get to work on these? And so it's a great question. And actually, the premise is actually totally off on this one, which is counterintuitive. I agree that it's a reasonable premise, because if you think about when people need a logo or a website done, they're going to go out and get, you know, 10 proposals, and they're going to just try to get it as cheaply as possible. It's almost the opposite is true for projects that hit Braintrust. We'll have usually like the entity will have a couple other relationships with other vendors, but it's usually we hear this over and over. We just heard it again yesterday with a potential new client. They're usually talking to these big national agencies that, you know, have a bunch of people offshore that they pay them barely anything, and they just take a monster cut out of every job they do. That, I mean, it could be like a 70–80% margin on these jobs. And the clients, you know, they're not always super budget sensitive, although they're going to be now, you know, in this new world we live in. The money's definitely going to matter now. But, you know, they feel like they're getting ripped off. I mean, there's a big apparel company here in the U.S. we're about to bring online, and, you know, they say, look, it's not the budget. It's like, man, we know this agency's ripping us off. So, what's interesting is that value prop of Braintrust is going to be even more valuable now. We're already seeing it. That's a big plus for us. If they're not, you know, jobs that hit Braintrust, you know, our sales team kind of wins them on the idea of using Braintrust before like the thing ever goes out to some big RFP process. So it's far less competitive than you think. Which is really good for you guys, because our job is to make sure you guys get your fair market rates. Another question. So Kostas just submitted this one live today. Once big companies turn to remote mode by need, it'll be hard to fully return back to the traditional in-house development. Although this transition is not straightforward, do we, as a Braintrust Network, plan to make a playbook to facilitate the transaction, listing tools and that kind of thing? Because you absolutely read our mind on this one. This was one of the first ideas we had here as an exec team, was to just take a leadership position here. This is what we're good at, and so let's help others figure this out. And so I talked about it a little bit earlier. We've already done this. We are teaching big companies kind of, it's not only like tool, like, hey, use Asana for this and use Zoom for that. Like the tools part's not that hard. It's also like, hey, how do you plug, you know, larger teams into your existing org? How do you, you know, make your remote people feel like part of the core team? You know, how do you set KPIs and like kind of the heavier stuff that I think you're alluding to. So yeah, we're doing that every day now. Michael has a question. Have we been contacted by New York State yet? I don't think so. Yeah, I think I see Shirley saying no. And so we'll keep kind of knocking on those doors. You know, these government entities in the US are overwhelmed right now. So the best we can do is kind of be here ready to help. I don't see any more questions here on the chat. Anything else, Mark and Shirley, on your end before we close out? All right, I'm seeing a.
Nope. Thanks, everyone.
All right. So guys, it was so good to see all our new people here today. Again, you know, we're navigating tough waters here. I really hope all of you, your families are safe and you're making the best out of this situation. We have everyone here on the core team has just deep gratitude for having you all be part of this journey with us. And again, while we're experiencing a little bit of an initial slowdown, I really think we end up coming out of this thing stronger and leaner and having a, you know, this great effect on, you know, making freelance work more mainstream in the US and making it more profitable for all of you. So thanks so much for joining us. And please feel free to ping any of us directly over email with questions. Take care, guys.